The Korthak patrol ship times Bloodfang times drifted through the outer rim of the Kepler sector, its hull scarred by 1,000 battles. Commander Thexvor stood 8 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the bridge's red lighting. 6 arms moved with practiced efficiency across the control surfaces, while his compound eyes scanned the tactical display. Another pathetic species, growled his second-in-command, Jeknal, pointing one razor-tipped claw at the sensor readout. Look at this vessel. Primitive metal construction, crude chemical propulsion, and barely any shielding. Thexvor clicked his mandibles in amusement. For 3,000 cycles, the Korthak Empire had dominated this galaxy, born on a world where the gravity crushed most species flat, where acid rain fell from purple skies, and where every creature had evolved to kill. They had rightfully claimed their place as the supreme Deathworlders. Their bodies were living weapons, their minds shaped by constant survival, their technology forged in the crucible of endless warfare. The alien vessel ahead was laughably small, perhaps 200 meters long, with simple geometric lines that spoke of a species that had never faced real danger. No weapons were visible, no armor plating, no signs of the adaptations that marked a true warrior race. Hail them, Thexvor commanded. Let us see what manner of soft creatures dare to explore our galaxy. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the interior of the alien bridge. Thexvor's combat instincts immediately assessed the beings before him. They stood upright on 2 legs, had only 2 arms, and their skin looked impossibly fragile. No natural weapons, no protective carapace, no obvious enhancements. They were pale creatures with small eyes and tiny mouths, wearing crude fabric coverings. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Discovery," came the transmission. The voice was steady, controlled. "We're a scientific research vessel from the United Earth Alliance. We mean no harm and request safe passage through this system." Jeknal laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Earth? Never heard of it. Must be some backwater world that just discovered space travel." The human captain's image remained calm on the screen. Thexvor studied her more carefully. She was smaller than even the average member of her species. Yet she stood straight, her gaze meeting his directly. "Interesting. Most species cowered when first encountering the Korthak. You are in Korthak space now, soft flesh," Thexvor announced, letting his full size fill the view screen. "We are the apex predators of this galaxy, born on a world that would crush your fragile bodies in moments. Surrender your vessel, and perhaps we will grant you a quick death." He expected panic, pleading, perhaps an attempt to flee. Instead, Captain Chen tilted her head slightly, as if considering his words. "I see," she said finally. "You're from a high-gravity world. That explains the exoskeleton and redundant limb structure. What's your homeworld's gravity? 3 times standard? 4? Thexvor's mandibles clicked in surprise. The creature was analyzing him like a specimen. "Our world's gravity is 4.7 times what your fragile form could survive. The very air is poison. The predators are beyond your comprehension." "Fascinating," Captain Chen replied, making notes on a device. "Our preliminary scans suggest similar conditions on several worlds in this sector. We've been studying Deathworld adaptations across different evolutionary paths." "Studying?" Jeknal's voice dripped with disdain. "You speak as if you understand war, little soft thing. We have conquered 17 stellar nations. We have reduced proud warrior races to slaves. What could your kind possibly know of survival?" For the first time, something flickered in the human's eyes. Not fear, but something else. Something that made Thexvor's combat instincts suddenly alert. "We know a few things about survival," she said quietly. "Earth's gravity is only one standard." "That's true. But perhaps you'd like to know what else shares our world with us?" Before either Korthak could respond, the human began speaking in that same calm tone. "Brown bears that can outrun your fastest vehicles and crush steel with their bare hands. Great white sharks with bite forces that could snap your exoskeleton. Saltwater crocodiles that haven't needed to evolve for millions of years because they're already perfect predators. Polar bears that hunt other apex predators for fun. And that's just the large ones. She paused, her gaze never wavering from the screen. Our oceans contain creatures with tentacles that could crush your ship. Our skies are filled with birds of prey that can spot movement from impossible distances. Our forests hide cats that can kill prey 50 times their size. And in the deepest parts of our world, things live that would make your nightmares seem pleasant. Thexvor found himself leaning forward. Impossible. No single world could contain so many apex predators without them destroying each other. Oh, but that's the beautiful part, Captain Chen continued. And now there was definitely something predatory in her smile. They all learned to coexist. Because the most dangerous predator on Earth wasn't any of them. It was us. The human reached down and picked up something from her command chair. It was small, primitive-looking, made of what appeared to be carved bone and sinew. This is a bow, she explained. 20,000 years ago, my ancestors used tools like this to hunt creatures that could kill them with a single swipe. No natural weapons. No armor. No superhuman strength, just intelligence, persistence, and the willingness to work together. She set the bow down carefully. We didn't evolve in a world that made us strong, Commander. We evolved in a world that made us clever. And when you're clever enough, strong becomes irrelevant. Jeknal's claws extended involuntarily. You dare threaten us, soft flesh? Threaten? Captain Chen looked genuinely puzzled. I'm just sharing information about our world. You asked about survival. I thought you'd be interested in comparative evolution. Something about her tone set off every combat instinct Thexvor had developed over decades of warfare. The human wasn't afraid. She wasn't even concerned. She was curious. Scan their ship more thoroughly, he ordered his crew in rapid Korthak battle speech. The results made him go very still. The vessel's hull wasn't just metal, it was a complex composite stronger than their own armor. The crude propulsion system was actually a fusion drive that could accelerate the ship beyond anything in the Korthak fleet. And those weren't empty cargo bays the sensors were detecting. Captain Chen, he said slowly. What exactly are you carrying in your hold? The human's smile widened slightly. Emergency supplies. You know how it is in deep space. You never know what you might encounter. We've found it's best to be prepared for any situation. Any situation. On the tactical display, new contacts suddenly appeared. Ships were emerging from what had seemed like empty space. Their stealth systems disengaging. 1, 2, 5, 10 vessels, all of them larger than the Discovery, and bristling with weapons that made Korthak technology look primitive. The thing about humans, Captain Chen continued conversationally, is that we never travel alone. We learned a long time ago that the galaxy can be a dangerous place, so we developed the buddy system. Thexvor stared at the tactical display. His ship, which had seemed so dominant moments before, was now surrounded by vessels that could reduce it to atoms in seconds, but that wasn't what made his blood run cold. It was the fact that they'd been there the entire time, invisible, patient, waiting, watching. How long have you been monitoring us? He asked. Oh. About 3 weeks now, Captain Chen replied. Ever since you entered this sector, we've been observing your patrol patterns, your tactics, your communications. Very interesting approach to warfare, by the way. Very direct, very predictable. The word hung in the space between them like a blade. You see, Commander, humans have been studying predators for a very long time. We know how they think, how they hunt, how they behave. And we've learned something important. The biggest, strongest predator isn't always the most dangerous one. She leaned forward slightly. And for the first time, Thexvor saw what he should have recognized immediately. The forward focus of the eyes. The precise, economical movements. The calm assessment of threat and opportunity. He was looking at an apex predator. One that had evolved not through physical advantages, but through something far more terrifying. Intelligence. The most dangerous predator, Captain Chen concluded, is the one that learns to hunt other predators. The transmission ended, leaving the Korthak bridge in stunned silence. Around them, Human ships maintained their positions, not threatening, just present, watching, waiting. For the first time in his military career, Commander Thex Vor wondered if perhaps the Korthak Empire had finally encountered something they were not prepared to face. On the human ships, quiet preparations were already beginning. 3 cycles later, High War Leader Kex Thorne received the report from Thex Vor's encounter with the humans. The massive Korthak commander stood in the war chamber aboard the flagship Times Death's Edge Asterisk. His 4 primary arms crossed while his secondary arms worked at holographic displays, showing tactical data. "Impossible," Kex Thorne rumbled, his voice like an avalanche. "No species achieves technological superiority without becoming apex predators through physical dominance. These humans are clearly using deception and trickery." Around the war chamber, 20 of the Empire's most experienced commanders nodded agreement. Each bore the scars of countless battles. Each had earned their position by proving their strength against the galaxy's most dangerous foes. The idea that soft-bodied creatures could pose a genuine threat was simply beyond their comprehension. The footage shows clear evidence of advanced technology, offered Sub-Commander Hexvac, gesturing at the holographic displays. "Their stealth systems surpass our own by several generations." "Stolen technology," Kex Thorne dismissed with a wave of his primary claws. "Or perhaps gifted by some patron species. These humans are clearly clients of a more advanced civilization." The doors to the war chamber hissed open, and communication tech Bexnor scuttled in on her 6 legs. "High War Leader, we've intercepted additional human transmissions. They appear to be requesting reinforcements from multiple systems." Kex Thorne's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. "Excellent. They recognize the threat we pose and call for aid from their masters. How many ships are responding to their distress calls?" "Unknown, High War Leader. The transmissions are heavily encrypted, but traffic analysis suggests significant fleet movements throughout this sector." The High War Leader turned to his tactical advisors. "Deploy Battle Group 7 to intercept these reinforcements. We'll capture one of their vessels intact and learn the truth about these humans. If they truly are client species, we'll use them as leverage against their masters." As the Korthak fleet moved into position, they failed to notice the small sensor drones that had been tracking them since they entered the system. The drones were barely larger than insects. Their technology so advanced, they appeared to be nothing more than cosmic dust on most scanning systems. Aboard the UES Discovery, Captain Chen stood in the communications center, watching the real-time feed from those drones. Her expression was calm, but anyone who knew her well would have recognized the slight tightening around her eyes that meant she was calculating possibilities. "They're taking the bait," reported Lieutenant Commander Torres from the sensor station. "Battle Group 7 is moving to intercept coordinates we fed them. Standard Korthak formation, heavy cruisers in the center, fast attack craft on the flanks." "Predictable," Chen murmured, "just like the xenobiology reports suggested. Alpha predator behavior patterns. They'll try to isolate and overwhelm what they perceive as the weakest target." She turned to address the bridge crew. "All stations, this is about to become a teaching moment. The Korthak Empire has dominated this region through brute force and intimidation. They've never encountered a species that fights smarter instead of harder." At the tactical station, Chief Warrant Officer Kim pulled up a 3-dimensional display of the approaching Korthak formation. "Ma'am, our intercept course puts us right in their path. They'll have overwhelming firepower advantage." "Will they?" Chen asked with a slight smile. "Computer, display human fleet composition for the Kepler operation." The holographic display shifted, showing what appeared to be a modest collection of research vessels, light cruisers, and support ships. Nothing that looked particularly threatening to experienced military eyes. "Now display actual capabilities," Chen continued. The tactical readouts changed dramatically. Each research vessel was revealed to be a heavily armed battlecruiser, their hulls packed with adaptive armor and weapons systems that could reconfigure in real time. The light cruisers were actually stealth carriers, their bays filled with drone fighters that operated on quantum-linked networks. Even the smallest support ships carried enough firepower to level a planet. "The thing about humans," Chen explained to her crew. is that we learned deception from the greatest teacher in the galaxy, evolution itself. On Earth, the most successful predators are rarely the biggest or strongest. They're the ones that look harmless until it's too late. The Korthak Battle Group 7 dropped out of hyperspace exactly where human calculations predicted they would. Immediately, their sensors detected a small convoy of what appeared to be civilian vessels fleeing toward the edge of the system. War leader Vex Ton commanded the battle group from his heavy cruiser times Bone Crusher Asterisk. His tactical displays showed exactly what he expected. Panic. The human vessels were scattering in different directions, their formation breaking apart in apparent terror. Just as I thought, Vex Ton announced to his bridge crew. Remove the threat of superior force, and these soft creatures reveal their true nature. Cowards and weaklings. He opened communications to his fleet. All ships, standard hunting pattern. Drive them toward the gravity well, where they cannot escape. We'll take the largest vessel, intact for interrogation. The Korthak ships accelerated, their formations perfect, their tactics proven over millennia of conquest. They had performed this same maneuver against dozens of species, and it had never failed. This time was different. As the Korthak closed to weapons range, the fleeing human ships suddenly began moving in ways that should have been impossible. They turned sharper than their apparent engine configurations should have allowed, accelerated beyond what their mass suggested was possible. And most disturbing of all, they began moving in perfect coordination. War leader, his sensor technician called out. I'm detecting massive power spikes from all human vessels. Their emission signatures are completely different from initial scans. Impossible, Vex Ton snarled. Maintain attack formation. Prepare to fire on my command. That's when the human ships stopped running. In perfect synchronization, 20 vessels that had appeared to be helpless civilian craft suddenly revealed their true nature. Stealth fields dropped away, exposing angular hulls covered in weapon emplacements. Armor plating extended from hidden compartments. Engine signatures spiked beyond anything in Korthak experience. And then they attacked. The humans didn't charge forward in glorious battle like proper warriors. Instead, they flickered in and out of sensor range, appearing just long enough to deliver devastating attacks before vanishing again. Their weapons didn't follow conventional energy patterns. Some seemed to bend space itself, others appeared to attack at a quantum level that bypassed conventional shielding entirely. Within minutes, Battle Group 7 was in complete disarray. Korthak vessels, built to withstand the most powerful conventional weapons, found their shields useless against attacks that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Their return fire struck empty space as the human ships danced between dimensions. How are they doing this? Vex Ton demanded, as his own ship shuddered under impact from weapons that shouldn't exist. His answer came when one of the human vessels decloaked directly in front of his bridge. Through the view screen, he could see into the ship's command center. Humans moved with calm efficiency. Their actions coordinated to a degree that suggested a hive mind. But it wasn't a hive mind, it was something worse. It was perfect cooperation. War leader, came a transmission from the human ship. This is Commander Jackson of the UES Prometheus. We're prepared to accept your surrender. Vex Ton's rage overcame his tactical sense. Never. The Korthak Empire bows to no one. I was afraid you'd say that, Commander Jackson replied. And there was genuine regret in his voice. Computer. Initiate demonstration protocol. 7. One of the smaller human ships moved away from the battle, positioning itself near a large asteroid. What happened next defied everything the Korthak thought they knew about warfare. The human ship fired a single projectile, nothing more than a dense metal rod, at the asteroid. But this wasn't just kinetic energy. The rod had been accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed, and the impact released energy equivalent to a small star going nova. The asteroid, larger than most moons, simply ceased to exist. Complete silence fell over the Korthak communications channels. That was a demonstration, Commander Jackson continued conversationally. In case you're wondering, yes, we could have done that to your ships instead. We chose not to, because humans prefer to solve conflicts through understanding rather than annihilation. Vex Ton stared at the empty space where the asteroid had been. What "What manner of creatures are you?" "We're teachers," Jackson replied. "And this is your first lesson in why intelligence beats strength every time. Would you like to learn more? Or shall we continue with practical demonstrations?" The surviving Korthak ships found themselves surrounded by human vessels that flickered in and out of existence like ghosts. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy their entire fleet, yet none fired. They simply waited. For the first time in his military career, war leader Vexton found himself completely outmatched. Not by superior strength or numbers, but by something far more terrifying. A species that had turned warfare itself into a science. "Stand down," he ordered his fleet, his voice barely a whisper. "All ships, stand down." Across the battle zone, Korthak warriors who had never known defeat slowly powered down their weapons, their minds struggling to process what they had just witnessed. In the communications center of the UES Discovery, Captain Chen nodded with satisfaction as she watched the tactical display. "Phase 1. Complete," she announced. "All human ships, maintain positions but remain non-threatening. Let them process what they've learned." She turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Korthak Empire is ready for Phase 2 of First Contact protocols. And remind them, we're not here to conquer. We're here to evolve." Around the human fleet, space rippled with the arrival of reinforcements that dwarfed even the demonstration they had just witnessed. The real human fleet was about to arrive. The arrival of the human reinforcement fleet defied every assumption the Korthak Empire had made about warfare, technology, and the nature of power itself. High War Leader Kex Thorne stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at sensor displays that his mind refused to accept. The readings showed over 300 human vessels materializing from hyperspace. But these weren't ships in any conventional sense. They were mobile habitats, some large enough to house entire cities, others that seemed to bend space around themselves in ways that hurt to look at directly. "Communications from the human flagship," reported his trembling communications officer. "They request permission to establish a diplomatic meeting." "Request?" Kex Thorne's mandibles clicked in confusion. "They have overwhelming superiority. Why do they request anything?" Before anyone could answer, the view screen activated to reveal something that shattered every preconception the Korthak leader possessed about apex predators. The human addressing him wasn't a warrior. She was elderly by their standards, her hair silver white, her posture relaxed. She wore simple clothes, with no armor, no weapons, no symbols of military rank. "High War Leader Kex Thorne," she said, inclining her head respectfully. "I am Dr. Elena Vasquez, Chief Xenobiologist for the United Earth Alliance. Thank you for agreeing to this conversation." "I agreed to nothing," Kex Thorne managed. Dr. Vasquez smiled gently. "Of course you did. You're still here, aren't you? That's agreement enough for us. May I call you Kex Thorne? Our linguistic computers suggest that's the appropriate familiar form of address among Korthak military leaders." The casualness of it struck Kex Thorne like a physical blow. This soft-bodied creature, surrounded by enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems, was treating him like an honored colleague. What do you want from us?" he asked. "Want? Oh, we don't want anything from you. We want something for you, Doctor." Vasquez gestured, and the view screen split to show images of human worlds. "We want to show you what we've learned about survival." Vasquez gestured, and 12CP. The images were impossible. Vast cities that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. Orbital habitats where humans lived alongside creatures that looked like they belonged in nightmares. Underwater colonies where humans swam with predators the size of Korthak battle cruisers. "Humans," Dr. Vasquez continued, "learned something important very early in our evolution. The strongest predator isn't necessarily the one that wins. The survivor is the one that adapts." She gestured again. And the screen showed humans working alongside other species, some that looked familiar to Korthak sensors, others that were utterly alien. "When we encountered the cetaceans of Proxima Beta, they could have easily destroyed our colony ships. Instead, we learned to communicate with them. Now they're our partners in deep ocean exploration. When we met the silicon mines of the Veil Nebula, their technology was thousands of years ahead of ours. Instead of fighting, we became their students. In return, we taught them about biological creativity. Kexthorn watched in growing amazement as image after image showed humans not conquering other species, but joining them, learning from them, growing with them. Impossible, he whispered. Species war. It is the natural order. The strong dominate the weak. Do they? Dr. Vasquez asked gently. Tell me, High War Leader, how many species has the Korthak Empire completely eliminated in your quest for dominance? The question hit harder than any weapon. 17, Kexthorn admitted. And how many planets have you left uninhabitable through conquest? 43. And how many potential allies, trading partners, teachers, and friends have you lost to this philosophy of strength through domination? Kexthorn had no answer. The mathematics were clear. And for a species that prized tactical thinking, the implications were devastating. Dr. Vasquez leaned forward slightly. What if I told you that every species you've destroyed knew something you didn't? Some piece of technology, art, philosophy, or science that could have made your people stronger, happier, more capable of survival? You're saying we've weakened ourselves, Kexthorn said slowly, the concept foreign but impossible to ignore. I'm saying you've been playing a game where the only way to win is not to play, she replied. Let me show you something else. The view screen changed to display Earth itself, but not as the Korthak had imagined it. This wasn't a soft world of gentle creatures. The planet teemed with life so diverse and abundant that it defied comprehension. Humans lived in environments that would kill most Korthak deep ocean trenches, Arctic wastelands, volcanic slopes, radiation-bathed mountain peaks. You see, Dr. Vasquez continued, Earth didn't make us soft. It made us adaptable. Every environment on our world tried to kill us. So we learned to thrive everywhere. We didn't become the dominant species by being the strongest. We became dominant by being the most cooperative. She gestured to another image, humans working together to build massive structures, coordinate global responses to natural disasters, share resources across impossible distances. Cooperation isn't weakness, High War Leader. It's the ultimate survival strategy. Two individuals working together are more than twice as effective as one individual alone. 100 individuals coordinating their efforts can accomplish things that seem impossible. 1 billion individuals sharing knowledge and resources. The screen showed human achievements that made Korthak technology look primitive. Rings of habitats around stars. Artificial planets. Ships that could cross the galaxy in moments. We become gods, Kexthorn finished, his voice barely audible. We become teachers. Dr. Vasquez corrected gently. Because the ultimate expression of strength isn't the ability to destroy your enemies. It's the ability to turn them into friends. Around the Korthak fleet, human ships maintained their positions not threatening, but clearly present. And for the first time, Kexthorn noticed something that chilled him more than any weapon could have. They weren't just human ships. Mixed in with the human vessels were ships of designs he didn't recognize. Organic-looking craft that seemed to pulse with their own life. Crystalline structures that bent light around themselves. Geometric forms that hurt to look at directly. How many? He asked. How many what? How many species have joined you? Dr. Vasquez smiled, and for the first time, there was something predatory in that expression. Not the predatory nature of a hunter, but something far more dangerous. The predatory nature of a teacher who had found the perfect student. All of them, she said simply. Every species humanity has encountered, we've found a way to cooperate with. Even the ones that initially tried to destroy us. Even the ones that seemed completely incompatible with biological life. We've learned to find common ground with silicon-based consciousnesses, energy beings, hive minds, and even artificial intelligences that consider biological life a nuisance. She paused, letting the implications sink in. The human alliance isn't human anymore, High War Leader. It's everyone. Every form of consciousness. Every way of thinking. Every possible approach to existence. We're not a species that conquered the galaxy. We're the species that taught the galaxy how to conquer itself through cooperation. Kex Thorne found himself gripping the edge of his command console, his exoskeleton cracking under the pressure of his own strength. What do you want from us? We want you to stop fighting a war you can never win, Doctor, Vasquez said gently. We want you to join us in building something bigger than any empire. We want to teach you how to become truly strong, and if we refuse, the elderly human's expression grew sad. Then you'll continue exactly as you are until you encounter a species that didn't learn cooperation, either. And eventually, you'll destroy each other, and the galaxy will lose whatever unique gifts the Korthak people could have contributed. She leaned back, her voice becoming warmer again. But I don't think you'll refuse. Because you're not actually stupid, Kex Thorne. You're just operating on incomplete information. And we're very good at providing education. Around the Korthak fleet, something extraordinary began to happen. Human ships started broadcasting, not threats or demands, but information. Technical specifications for technologies that could revolutionize Korthak society. Medical techniques that could extend their lifespans by centuries. Agricultural methods that could turn their harsh homeworld into a paradise. Consider it a down payment, Doctor, Vasquez said as the data flowed across Korthak systems. Not payment for surrender, but payment for conversation. We're betting that once you see what cooperation can accomplish, you'll want to learn more. The bridge of the times, Death's Edge times, fell silent except for the soft chiming of computers processing information that represented advances beyond anything in Korthak science. Finally, Kex Thorne spoke. Why? He asked. Why share this with us before we've agreed to anything? Dr. Vasquez's smile was patient, understanding. Because that's what teachers do. We give knowledge freely, trusting that wisdom will follow. Because we've learned that the best way to defeat an enemy isn't to destroy them, it's to help them become something better than they were. She stood up, preparing to end the transmission. Take your time, High War Leader. Study what we've shared. Discuss it with your people. When you're ready to learn more, we'll be here. The transmission ended, leaving the Korthak fleet surrounded by human vessels that radiated not threat, but invitation. In the communications center of the UES Discovery, Captain Chen watched the tactical display with satisfaction. Phase 3 complete, she announced to her crew. All ships, maintain peaceful monitoring positions. Let them think. Around them, the combined fleets of 1,000 species waited patiently. They had learned long ago that the best weapon in the universe wasn't force or technology or even superior numbers. It was time. Time for civilizations to grow, to learn, to choose cooperation over conquest. And humans, the ultimate Deathworld survivors, had learned to wield time itself as the most powerful tool in the galaxy. After all, they had evolved on a world that had taught them the greatest lesson of all. The survivors aren't the strongest or the fastest or the most aggressive. The survivors are the ones who learn to turn everything, even their enemies, into allies. And humanity had become very, very good at surviving.